Well, while I'm being proud of being a Kansan, I'll talk about another Kansan that's on the national scene right now that makes me just downright proud. I'm talking about the Secretary of Defense, the Ranking General, Defense Secretary Gates, shown here in the 6th or 8th of June 8th. Time magazine addressing a town hall type meeting with U.S. troops in Afghanistan. This one is the Wichita Eagle talking about Secretary Gates. He was invited. A young lady had the nerve to ask him, and he said yes, and everybody was overwhelmed and amazed and so grateful that the Secretary of Defense would come back to his old high school, Wichita East High, give the commencement address. I've lost track of the paper that was the next morning. I loved what he said to those kids. Among other things, he said, "Go for it. Leave here and go out and test yourself. Don't be afraid to fail." Now, he said, when I left here, and I've forgotten exactly what career it was that he had in mind, but it was one that called for a great deal of math. And he said, I had to kind of change when I made a D in, and I can't remember whether it was calculus or trig or what, but some college level math that he took. What a great man, what an humble, decent man to say to these kids, don't be afraid to fail. If you try something that doesn't work, reevaluate, take a different path. Look what this Kansan has done. I'm sure most of you are very aware that President George W. Bush, when he finally gave up on Rummy Rumsfeld, or Rummy Rumsfeld gave up on, I don't know, whatever, he talked this fine man to leave a college leadership position and come back on active duty. Thank you, President Bush. What a great thing you did to bring a real leader on in the as Secretary of Defense. Well, in the Wichita Eagle, the writer, no doubt one of the editorial writers, one of the owners probably, says about 100 years ago, Harper's Magazine, and he's quoting now from a speech that Mr. Gates gave, General Gates gave. Harper's Magazine ran a profile of Kansas. It described, quote, the courage, sand, and grit of the people, their nervy faith in the future. And then Gates goes on to say, as I often tell people, I believe a Kansas upbringing imparts qualities that have been a source of strength for me over the years, an enduring optimism and idealism, a love of country, and dedication to citizenship and service. Skipping a little, he said, I will always consider myself first and foremost just a kid from Kansas. He goes on to say, I've been privileged to work for 8 presidents, learned a few things about leadership in different ways. You're going to have your opportunities to lead. You've already done some things in athletics, extracurricular activities, such as student government, your church, or wherever you happen to work. Opportunities that have placed you in a position to show responsibility or have influence on others. Then he goes on to say, I want to share a few thoughts on what my experiences tell me are the qualities needed by good leaders. First, one of the things you must have is integrity. I'm talking about honesty and being straight with others and yourselves. Second, moral courage. I'm skipping a little. The courage to do what is right and not just what is popular. Skipping again. Third, real leaders treat other people with common decency and respect. And fourth and last, finally, we also need people to step up and be of service to others, to their community and to their country. No life is complete without such service. And he talks quite a bit more, and he ends up saying, in closing, it has been my privilege and the honor of my life to give something back in service. For me, it all started at Wichita East at East High, and so for all of you tonight, with this graduation, the door of opportunity opens for you to serve and to lead. That's the end of what they said in the Wichita paper on May 31st, 2009. I liked him before he came here to do the commencement address, but I liked him even more. The humility to say, hey, I failed in something I started out to do. I stand before you as an example that you can retool, you can retread, and go for it and do something great. The man, obviously, is one of the great leaders of our current hard-pressed time. Thank God for him. June 8th, issue of Time, that I mentioned earlier, is titled Gates Unbound, How the Defense Secretary Helped Turn Iraq Around, Shook Up the Pentagon, and won over Obama, so that Obama asked him to continue as the Secretary of Defense. That's going to be the next video.